I slowly start. It's 1 minute past, and one of the, say, interesting experiences made with this pandemic situation, all the digital tools, is time is limited a lot. So if you're 5 minutes late in a Zoom session, everybody is super annoyed. So I slowly start talking us into this action. You see some faces with this beam banner at the back. We are the ones organizing it. Just to introduce ourselves, Bastian, who just raised his hand, he's the DJ. He takes control of all the activities and making sure you're all well positioned. Chris Borg, one of the early founders of this Beam activity, is the person who knows you all. He has relatives all over the world and knows everybody in this 3D printing world. Philip Rosendahl joined this activity as a postdoc in our institute at the civil engineering faculty to push this more into an not only object but also technology and material level. And we miss Oliver Tessmann, who's, and that's another thing with this digital environment, is able to take an appointment which he had to take because of our rector forced him to do this for at least half an hour. So he's going to be off for this situation and then directly jumping into this session later. My name is Ulrich Knaack. I'm a professor for facade technology in Darmstadt. We, in the beginning, before this public part started, we discussed, is it the 6th or the 5th Beam event? I think it's the 5th Beam event. And it actually started as a kind of a seminar with, say, the friends being invited to give some talks about additive manufacturing in the built environment. And yeah, it grew and grew and grew, and really developed very nicely, very well. At some point, we linked up with Formnext, the trade show in Frankfurt about 3D printing, and it started continued growing and growing. We had a nice exhibition last year, a nice booklet made last year as well. And now this whole thing with the pandemic became digital, and we weren't sure if this is good or bad. We have to say investigate later, and it may end up in a hybrid situation of having some digital and some physical aspects. I still miss the exhibition, and I still will miss a lot of coffee with you in the breaks to talk. So that's something which doesn't work in this digital environment. But on the other side, the digital environment nearly doubled the number of people joining, which is also interesting. Yes, obviously this gives you the chance to join from wherever you are and not having this additional travel to go. But I would advise you next time you should go again, because there's this exhibition which really is super nice, and it's actually not that small, it's large. And we got the comments from Next colleagues that we are the ones with the largest pieces being printed at the trade show at all. And not only one, but say most of them are super large. That's an interesting one. The program, we made a program of 4 blocks. There will be a break in between, and there will be discussion round at the end. And when I saw the booklet the other day, which Bastian in the end, well, yeah, the screen doesn't work, which Bastian made. It's really, again, it's really nice. It's super nice to see what we're going to see this day, what will be presented this day. Super interesting project. Again, fresh projects, new things to jump into to see. Very nice. Bastian, would you be so kind to again place the link of the website in the chat so that everybody can, during the lecture or later, go to website and go for the download. It's you either get this on print on demand if you want a printed version, or you download it as booklet if you want. We also ask you to administrative things, turn your camera off, turn your microphone off, so that the audience really works as an audience. And if you have questions, please address them to Philip. I think we have a limited number of people being able to be addressed, and Philip will take care of the questions and then raise them in the audience so that we can discuss this as an activity. Second, or next to, say, the team from Darmstadt organizing it, we convinced two characters to join us and to help us to host the sessions. It's one Gijs van der Velde, who's going to be introduced in the second part of this lecture, and the second is Roland Smooks, which I actually never met physically, but we already had some chats digital. Really interesting. You were at nighttime, it was early morning in my area from Australia. I'm in Germany. So we see that this digital environment start to work to even create social relations in this environment. Roland runs a studio, Roland Snooks Studio. He works at RMIT in Australia, runs an algorithmic design and a robotic lab, and did his PhD at RMIT, was lecturer in the US, Columbia, University of Pennsylvania, and others. And we asked him to share some slides of his work so that you have a glimpse of an idea of what he does. And with that one, I hand actually over to Roland to introduce himself, and then we go with the first speaker.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'll start by sharing a few slides. As has been said, I'm based in Melbourne at RMIT University, and in addition to running an architecture studio, I also direct a laboratory at RMIT. In the lab, we loosely talk about it as exploring the design implications of emerging technologies. But more specifically, we really work on algorithmic design, generation of complex form, robotic fabrication, and the tectonics this might lead to. So a lot of our work is around algorithmic design, and this comes from a background in multi-agent systems. So it's a type of algorithmic work in which the individual agent or component interacts with a collection of agents, and through all these local interactions, global behavior emerges. And so we're interested in what are the complex systems that emerge from the interaction of these localized conditions. In doing this work, over the years, we've been generating highly complex geometries, and a lot of our work and our interest in additive manufacturing is very much about how we go about building these complex geometries. And so some of our work has been looking at metal additive manufacturing, so things like SLM that I think are quite known. Some of our more recent work is looking at larger scale metal printing, such as WAM. But a lot of our work has been around large scale FDM or polymer printing. And so we've been looking at the way we can print at a large scale, the way we can get this into real building projects, how we get them past building codes, how we can demonstrate them within sort of an art context, such as this pavilion. Or more recently, we're looking at how we take this relatively weak material and we reinforce it. And so that reinforcement is coming through, in this case, carbon fiber. But we're also looking at the way that's reinforced with materials such as concrete. Okay, so that was just to very briefly just sort of set the scene of the sort of work that I do, or the kind of background that I have. But my real role here is to help moderate the session and to introduce the speakers.